Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got a review. I'm going to call it a full review. I don't even like using that word, but I'm going to say this is technically a full review. I've worn this 5 times now in the last 3 months or so, and I've probably worn it a couple times over the last year or so. And so I have lots of experience with this scent. I've worn it in all different weathers. The fragrance we're going to do the first impression on is a Roja, and it's called Majestic Aoud Parfum. Now, I've got all kind of iterations of this. I've got the older versions of Roja's 7.5 mil travel atomizers, which used to look like this. Back in the day, this is how they used to basically look. The atomizer itself was the same, but the box and stuff that it came in was different. Now they come in the standard that looks like this, where you open it up and it sits there. So you can see I've put big dents in the travel atomizer, and I have a decant from an actual bottle. And but before we get into this scent, there is something I want to talk to you guys about, and it's a little bit of a mini unboxing from a friend. He sent me some freebies. He's a friend that I basically made through eBay, and he wrote me a message the other day and said, "Hey man, I love the content you're putting out on your channel." And he said, "Thank you for giving me a shout out on one of the videos." And I said, "I don't know if I did. I think someone just asked me where they can buy decants. If you've been following my channel, you know I've shown lots of decants before, and I'll show you the decants and the full bottles that I actually purchased from him along the way." His name is Miasto_Kelsey. So it's M-I-A-S-T-O, Miasto_Kelsey, K-I-E-L-C-E. So Miasto_Kelsey. And he's an eBay seller. You can look him up, okay? So if you go to his channel or his page or whatever, you'll notice that he has stuff like this. So this is, for example, Les Indemodables Iris Pearl. I haven't talked about this yet on my channel. This is my newest acquisition from him. His decants come like this, in something like this. Look how solid this decanter is. So you've heard me complain. Actually, you've heard me complain in recent videos about how I'm noticing that in like this particular decant that I made of Red for Men Vintage was all the way full to the top. I haven't worn it, and this has evaporated. So I need to do this very soon. I need to go through my plastic samples. I'm going to do a comparison between the vintage Red for Men and the current one that was issued under Elizabeth Arden. Now they're both discontinued, but I'm going to do a comparison video, but that's not why I'm talking about this content here on the video today. I'm just bringing this up because you notice the decants that he puts these in. These are glass, and they're solid. There's zero leakage. They are very well sealed. And I trust him. You know, I like giving a shout out to people that I know and trust, and I know him just based on the amount of stuff I've purchased from him. I found him on my own. I just started buying stuff, and when I find someone I trust that does right by me, I continue to use them. I'm very loyal. So I purchased Iris Pearl. My most recent purchase was Iris Pearl and Fougere Bengal from him. So he has Les Indemodables decants, which, by the way, I own many of the Les Indemodables scents, but I have 0 full bottles because of Miasto_Kelsey. Because of the fact that I just get these 10 ml decants from him, and that's more than enough juice for me, honestly, when you have a collection my size. I mean, would I love full bottles of these Les Indemodables? Sure. But it's a way to kind of grow your collection in a cost-effective way without always buying full bottles. And he has these Fougere Bengal full bottles. Every time I've ordered from him, it's always perfect. So again, this is not... He told me, "I'm going to send you some free stuff. You don't have to mention me." But I feel like I do. I feel like he deserves a shout out because he's someone that I can point you guys to and that I know you're going to be well taken care of. So I got a full bottle of Fougere Bengal from him, which I haven't talked much about this yet, but I will. I'll talk about this very soon. I also got decants of Rose de Jamal. These are all the Les Indemodables I've purchased from him over the years. Oh, Rose de Jamal is one of the most beautiful rose fragrances. Me and Rich Mitch definitely agree on that. I've purchased Vanille Havane, which I did a early impression video on my channel. If you look up the Les Indemodable playlist, you'll see them all. And this is a beautiful dark wintry scent with cacao, vanilla, tobacco. But they use the absolutes, and the ingredients do feel good. It's a little too sweet for my taste, but I think that's why it's the most popular Les Indemodables as far as like the masses go. That's the one that everyone kind of wants to sniff. My favorite is probably Ambre Supreme, or the next one coming up. Ambre Supreme is one of the best ambergris scents you can smell. It's so pleasant. It's like the best blue fragrance you can buy. You know, instead of buying ambroxan, instead of buying a bottle of something from the department store, it's 50% ambroxan, spend a little bit more and get Ambre Supreme, or do what I did, get a 10 ml decant at an amazing price. And, you know, and then you can test it and decide if you want to buy another bottle or another decant. And then Musks de Sables, which I need to talk about this more too. This is a beautiful musk. Furry, you know, that furry textured musk. And my favorite is probably Oriental Velours. This is the one I think I want the full bottle of, not Ambre Supreme. I like Ambre Supreme, but I love Oriental Velours. It's this mixture of myrrh and spruce. And spruce is a note that you hardly ever see in fragrances. It is in the original Ted Lapidus Pour Homme from 1978, which I have on the way. It's actually been, tomorrow will be 2 months. It's not here from Italy. I'm starting to really get angry. He also has MDCI. This is a fragrance called L'Elegant. And I wore this to bed once. I haven't talked about this yet on my channel. It came out in 2021. I'm still kind of testing it. You know, if you want kind of like a well-done amber woods fragrance, like if you're into that synthetic amber woods type smell, L'Elegant is very well done, but it is synthetic. It's not natural smelling. It smells like the niche blob, if you will. You know, these niche companies like to make this niche blob smell that just smells high-end and expensive, but it's nothing but amber woods and synthetics and stuff like that. L'Elegant is in that ballpark. And then I've got these bigger 30 mils that I bought from him. This is Invasion Barbare, everyone's favorite barbershop fragrance. It's not mine, but it is good. I mean, this is one where I'll probably never own or buy, I'll never purchase another decanter or a full bottle of this, because even though I like it, I don't love it, if that makes sense. It's just, it's so smooth, and even though there's some dirtiness from the violet leaf, you know, it's not enough to interest me as much. The one that I really love from MDCI, the one that I would love a full bottle of, is the dark juice of Chypre Palatin from Bertrand Duchefort. This stuff, oh, this gets me going. This gets me excited. You know, this gets my blood flowing. This is full bottle worthy. Oh man, I absolutely adore Chypre Palatin. I think it's one of Bertrand Duchefort's best. Would love a full bottle one day. So there you have it. He's got other stuff on his site. I looked today. He has Naomi Goodsir. He has Sense of Wood, which I have been in contact with the brand owner. I'm trying to see if he'll do an interview with me. I think he said he will. So Sense of Wood, like the plum and cognac, that's been very popular. He likes that. I'll do a full review on that soon, thanks to Rachel. And he's got Parfum Roma on there. He's got Renair and Flores. So he's got a bunch of different brands that you can test in these decants and samples and all that stuff. So just a shout out. Let's see what he sent me. Let's open this up. I have no clue what this is. He just said, hey man, I'm appreciating your content so much. I want to send you some stuff. And I said, sure, I'd love to. I'd love to get my nose on some things. Oh, he sent me a bunch of samples. Whoa. Oh, look, I can show you his card. There you go. There's his card. If you want to pause that and send him an email or text, Let's see what we got here. I don't know any of these. What? I don't know this brand at all. I've never smelled this brand. Do you guys know this one? Astrophil and Stella. It's an X-ray and A Night at the Opera. Oh no. Let me grab this because I'll never find it if I don't do it now. It'll be lost forever. Okay, here we go. A Night at the Opera. Let's see what Parfumo says, just out of curiosity. Let's see what these... A Night at the Opera. 2021 release. Oh, I have heard of this brand. Now that I see the bottle, I've heard of the brand. I've never smelled anything from them. Spicy, smoky, artemisia, leather, labdanum, tobacco, patchouli, gaiac wood, cedar, musk. Smells like my kind of fragrance. Sweet vernal grass note. Wow. Can't wait to do some first impressions. I have so many first impressions that I can do. Astrophil and Stella. This one is Unbelievable. Unbelievable. How's that for a name? 2020. Luca Maffei. Amber, Elamia Papanax. Vanilla, ambery fragrance. Sounds very interesting. Mellow Yellow. This is the same brand. Mellow Yellow. So more first impressions to come. Like I don't have enough first impressions, right? Or early impressions, we'll say. Carrot Seed, Orris. It's basically like a citrusy green fragrance. Wow, he sent me like the whole line from Astrophil and Stella. This one is Nabati. Nabati. What is Nabati? Just out of curiosity. Nabati. It's a blue bottle. Leathery, spicy saffron, rum, ambrette, rose, marine notes. Wow. Rum, marine notes, iris, leather, and oud. That sounds insane. It's a Christian Provenzano, so that's interesting stuff. Love is Lost. Petty Shetty. Into the Oud. This is the one that I wanted to smell. Okay. So I'm going to set the others aside. Basically, send me the whole brand, the whole house. So Into the Oud is the one that I really wanted to get my nose on because it is a Bertrand Duchefort 2020. Of course, there's a Divana note in it. It's Bertrand Duchefort. Divana, rum, pepper, saffron, orange, toffee, amber, oak moss, and oud. This sounds absolutely amazing. Oh, and their samples have caps too. Very good. Their samples have caps. That's important. I like these so much better than the, samples that are just the little cheapy ones. Good stuff. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. Some Chemi. I've never smelled a Chemi in my life either. Some Chemi blotters. That's interesting. And let's see what else we got in here. Maison Tahiti. Again, another brand I've never smelled anything from in my life. Carnal Cacao. Vicious Cacao. Cacao. Okay, so this brand likes cacao. Cacao Libertine. These are the samples that drive me insane right there. The ones that are just like that. This is colored, so it doesn't look as bad, but it's the same terrible sample. So I don't know anything about this brand at all. It says is a creative workshop that aims to explore the iconic raw materials of perfumery, trying to represent them each time in an original and contemporary way. This new project begins with the family of gourmands, starting with the vanilla and cacao, showcasing their various expressions of warmth and security, and at the same time, the desire to escape the faraway paradises. So I don't know anything about this house, but we'll learn about them together. Cacao, by the way, in its, I don't know what you would call it, essential oil auto form, you know, Cacao Absolute, I think is actually what Russian Adam sent me, is so deep. It's like you're just falling into a vat of just the darkest chocolate you could ever imagine. And this is another house that I don't know anything about. Man, I'm feeling like a little out of the loop, you know. I feel like a old person rant coming on, like a get off my lawn rant coming on. You know, I am like so amazed by how many fragrances are coming out. Like if you're somebody who just occasionally kind of tries to keep up with all the new stuff and smell things, it's impossible. There's so much stuff coming out there that, you know, these people who say, oh, you're not a real frag head if you haven't smelled XYZ or this, that, or whatever. If you haven't smelled Jacques Forte Cacao Love, you're not a real frag head. Like, get out of here with that. You know, it's so impossible to keep up, and you almost don't want to keep up anymore because it's just it's just got to the point where you know, it's impossible. Like if you try to keep up with everything, you'll never end up wearing the stuff that you love, basically is what it comes down to. So this Jacques Zolty house, Cocoa Love, Eau de Parfum, coconut, marine notes, ylang, jasmine, cypriol, amber, cream, vanilla, cream, and tonka. Okay. 2021 release. No one said a word about it on Parfumo. So yeah, these are the type of brands that I wouldn't be able to smell if not. So thanks, Derek. I really do appreciate it, my friend. Much obliged. So there's the Jacques Zolty releases. Me Gustas. They got all kind of stuff on here. All kind of releases. Leonella, Cubata, Severo, and Havana Rum. So thank you again, my friend. First impressions will happen. I'll make it happen as always. And so you guys just keep an eye out for that. Lots of first impressions to come. And check out Derek's page, if you will. His Miasto Kelsey, which I put the card up on the screen. It doesn't actually say his name, though, unfortunately. Here, I'll write it right here real quick and just MIASTO_KEKIELCE. There's his, if you want to look him up, Miasto_Kelsey on eBay, you can find his store. Okay, let's get into the 18 minutes in. Let's get into the real reason for this video, and that is Majestic Aoud Parfum from Roja Dove. So I've been threatening to do this review for a long time now, and you know, the reason that I've been kind of putting it off, if you will, is that I wanted to wear this fragrance more because there is a lot going on and there's a lot to understand, but at the same time, there are some similarities to other Roja fragrances, okay? So let's talk about this fragrance and what it's supposed to be, and then we'll talk about kind of my thoughts on it. So first of all, it came out in 2018, and it came in one of the purple caps. So if you can see, I don't know if you can see Great Britain back there, but this is Roja's Haut Luxe that I just recently unboxed. It comes in this purple cap. These are like the Haut Luxe, what would you call it? The collection. The Haut Luxe collection has this purple cap. Majestic Oud was in this collection, okay? So Majestic Oud was in this Haut Luxe collection along with Great Britain and Chiffre Extraordinaire and the really expensive Rojas. The stuff that's super overpriced, basically. Good fragrances, all of them, but super overpriced. And This is one that I've got multiple decants of. I don't have a full bottle because I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's full bottle worthy. But I do think it's a very interesting fragrance. And it came out in 2018. Here's what Roja Dove has to say about the fragrance. He says, I wanted to create something which was the ultimate ode to the oud ingredient. And so I had to do that by paying homage to the majesty and mystique. This result is a creation which is pure, unadulterated oud in its richest and most luxurious form. End quote. Now, there's a lot to digest there. Because the number one thing that is wrong with this fragrance is that. The name, the story, it doesn't match, okay? This is not the ultimate oud fragrance. In fact, if you blindfolded me, twisted my arm, and said, is there oud in this, Ramsey? I would say no. Now, if the brand says there's oud in here, okay? So don't sue me, Roja. I'm not saying there's not oud. You know, I'm saying that it doesn't smell like there's real oud in here. This smells like many of the other Roja fragrances I've smelled. Go to my playlist and watch my Roja. Click on Roja. He has his own playlist. You can see all my first impressions. You can watch the exclusive. You can watch the, you know, and there's more first impressions to come, more Rojas to talk about, basically. I haven't even reviewed the real ones that I have bottles of yet. I did review this Roja, Aoud Luxe Roja, his signature scent. That there is a full review on that in there. And just so you guys know, this right here, his signature scent, the one that he sells for $3,500 or whatever it is, $3,000, depending on exchange rates. This is the closest fragrance to Majestic Oud Parfum that I've ever smelled. You can tell that whoever the perfumer is, made both of these. They made Majestic Oud Parfum and they made Roja for the Aoud Luxe collection, his signature scent in 2013. 2013 Roja's came out. 2018 Majestic Oud came out. Now, Majestic Oud Parfum is already discontinued. And we'll get to why I think that is once we start talking more about the scent. So let's talk about the note breakdown, the note listing, and what I get from the scent. So first of all, here's the note tree. It's classified as a spicy woody scent, and I would somewhat agree with that. I'd probably say spicy woody floral, because the florals play a huge part in this fragrance. So let me read you the note tree. One moment. Okay. So here's the note tree. Bergamot and rosemary at the top. May rose, jasmine from grass, and osmanthus in the heart. And then the base is pepper, black pepper, saffron, guardium balsam, cypriol, patchouli, vetiver, cedarwood, gaiac wood, amyris, oud, valerian, labdanum, ambrette, ambergris, castoreum, and civet. So this fragrance is weird, okay? The reason that it's weird is if you've smelled lots of oud, which, again, I've talked about this in previous videos. I'm proud of it. That Russian Adam sent me probably the best gift you could ever give to someone, which is the actual oud oil. This is Kinam Oud. Very expensive just for tiny drops. It's extremely expensive. This is Chocobarai Oud, which was used in Russian Adam's Russian Oud, okay? Which, stay tuned for more on that fragrance. This is Chinese CO2 distillation from a plantation oud. So I have had lots of experience now with the actual ingredient as they are in Russian Adam's creations, which I got to test, in Bortnikov's creations, which he uses real oud. And I've got loads of experience with the designer stuff. I almost wore an entire full bottle of oud wood. All right? And so I have loads of experience with the stuff that isn't real oud too. And my thought is there's no real oud in this fragrance, which is very disappointing for a fragrance that's sold for $2,000. Now, maybe there is, but it doesn't smell like there is, okay? What it smells like when you first spray is you get this resinous floral. And if you've ever smelled Roja's $3,500 a bottle juice, his signature scent, the one that he only makes 250 bottles a year for the whole world, it has that same cyclone-like resinous floral quality, okay? It's built, I think, on the same platform, if you will. And we'll get to the notes and the similarities between, because there's big similarities between other Roja scents, huge similarities between some of the other Roja scents, actually. So I think it's built on the same platform. I think it's a Chypre. They don't list any oak moss in the base, but it's very close to a Chypre construction. It's got that bergamot, labdanum, you know, maybe even there is oak moss, even though there's none listed. It wouldn't surprise me, but they don't list oak moss. And so what happens is you get this resinous floral aspect. Like imagine if you took May Rose, jasmine from Gras, and osmanthus, and you blended them together in a blender and you dumped in a pot of honey, right? And it just creates this resinous floral goo, okay? That's what you get when you initially spray. Like you just get this twirling, like this tornadic, resinous, floral fragrance with spices, okay? The pepper and the cypriol and the saffron kind of really makes an appearance and really makes it feel Middle Eastern. Now, it isn't extrait, okay? It's a pure parfum. So, it lasts forever. I mean, I've had this on now for 6 hours. I just did a fresh spray before I started the video. And I can tell you that I was catching whiffs of it all day. You know, while I was moving and typing and working and stuff, I was catching whiffs of it, okay? It's strong and it lasts forever. And I think that, you know, they stuck with the Chypre construction because it really feels like Roja's DNA, okay? It feels like you're smelling a Roja. It feels like you're smelling something very posh, very high-end, if you will, okay? And I've seen interviews of him where he claims that Majestic Oud, he writes it Aoud because he says that's how they say it in the Middle East. Aoud. Aoud is how he says they say it in the Middle East. We'll just say Majestic Oud Parfum. I've seen interviews where he said that this is supposed to be the smell of walking into like one of the palaces in Saudi Arabia, right? One of the palaces that the king and the crown prince live in, and, you know, they're sitting on their throne, and you walk in, and they're burning the highest quality oud chips that you could ever imagine. That's what this is supposed to smell like. It doesn't. It doesn't smell like that at all. It smells like they're trying to trick, you know, maybe like a housewife who goes to Harrods and has an unlimited budget, has their American Express black card, and they smell this and they say, oh, that's what oud is. Wow. Because you noticed in the breakdown I mentioned castoreum and civet, okay? And my thought is that there's a little bit of a sleight of hand here being played, but let's go through the whole thing. So, that's really the biggest problem with the scent if you approach it from the fact that you're going to get this oud fragrance, this majestic oud, okay? Majestic oud, not just oud, majestic oud. And is it majestic oud? No. It's a Roja fragrance. It's basically a Roja Dove fragrance done in his style. You know, if you listen to my other reviews of Roja, when I talk about his fragrances, I'm very common to say that he will Roja something up. He Rojas it up, right? He takes something from the past, like Cuir de Russie with Great Britain, and he adds his little flair, his little touch, whatever that is. And usually his touch is, you know, a little more animalic pieces here and there. Like with Danger, he took Guerlain's Heritage, he added some cumin, he added some animalic, some civet, some stuff like that. That's not in Heritage. But at the heart of it, it is Heritage. There's no getting around it. No one who knows anything about fragrance past would ever say anything different to the contrary. This, I feel like he kind of took his signature DNA, which is unique. This is unique, okay? His fragrance for himself that he is supposed to have a signature scent that he only wears, the only thing he wears, is a little unique, but it will remind you of other fragrances from the past. If you've smelled stuff like Mitsuko, it will remind you a little bit of Mitsuko. The way that the blend kind of blends into a Shifra. And the number one note that Roja, if you've never heard me, actually, for those of you who watch my channel regularly, I would love to know if you know, because I've said it multiple times. The number one note that Roja is most likely to use in a composition in an overdose is what? It's labdanum. He loves labdanum, and me and him are on the same page there. I absolutely adore labdanum. One of the little vials that Russian Adam sent me was labdanum resinoid and labdanum absolute. They're both beautiful, but they do smell a little bit different. The labdanum here, reminds me a little bit more of the absolute. It has that distilled-like character to it. Almost like you took labdanum and distilled it down, you know, like vodka. You distill it down to its base elements, right? It has a little bit of that feel to it, this labdanum absolute feel. The whole fragrance feels like an absolute. Like, you know, like you're smelling almost like, you know, with an absolute, it almost feels like it's been like barrel aged. You know what I mean? Like you're smelling the osmanthus, but it's barrel aged. You're smelling the cedarwood, but it's aged in a barrel, you know. And it has this slight liqueur vibe to it, even though there's no liquor here. And so labdanum is one of the biggest ingredients in Majestic Oud Parfum. And the reason that this is such a hard review is one of the major ingredients of Roja, his fragrance, is labdanum. This is a Shifra fragrance with lots of florals, tons of ylang-ylang and stuff like that. But it's also so heavy on the labdanum and resins that even though you're smelling florals, it's like smelling a floral like you've never smelled a floral before, because the resins kind of come in and they change the molecule. They change the way your nose perceives the rose, the jasmine, the osmanthus. Osmanthus is huge here, by the way. I think osmanthus in Majestic Oud Parfum is the number one floral. That yellow, remember I said it has this honey-like vibe? Osmanthus has this apricot-like vibe to it sometimes. And this has this almost like, it almost has this like apricot that's been canned in some sort of alcohol, right? And set on the shelf, right? It's canned apricot. And then you open it up and it's been sitting in that sticky sweet syrup, that kind of thing. But the sweetness here doesn't bother me. That's the thing. So even though there is touches of sweetness, because it comes from the resins, it comes from things like the labdanum, the ambrette, which, by the way, I love ambrette. I'm a huge ambrette fan. So he's using ingredients that I love, right? He's using labdanum, he's using ambrette, he's using oud, he's using castoreum and civet. And he claims real ambergris. Fine. If he says real ambergris, we'll go with it. I don't detect much ambergris here. But maybe there is a little pinch just to keep everything, you know, keep everything moving, if you will. And it, so I mentioned that this is discontinued, and I think they made a very good point in discontinuing it, because it doesn't, the story doesn't match, okay? So if you know anything about oud and you smell this, you'll go, what is this? What is this? This is not oud. What is he talking about? This was the biggest glaring weakness for the brand. If you're going to sell a fragrance at $2,000 a bottle, it better be spot freaking on. It better be spot on. There better be no holes in the story. There's holes all over the story with this one. It doesn't smell like real oud. It doesn't smell like Majestic oud. It doesn't, it doesn't give off that you just walked into a Saudi Arabian palace. No, absolutely not. It gives off just a Roja fragrance that, I mean, if you didn't tell people this had oud in it, if you said this is this is a spicy, woody scent, okay, with florals, or this is a shifra, a floral shifra, they would go, yeah, it is, absolutely. There's, they would have no problem with that. It would blend right in. This would fit right into his Middle East collection, no problem, right? Right into the Middle East collection that doesn't have oud in it. Something that focuses on like the frankincense notes or stuff like that. Even though there's no frankincense here, this would fit right in. If you told someone, hey, this is a scent that is in the Middle East line for Roja Dove, and it's supposed to highlight the note of frankincense, they would go, yeah, I could kind of see that, because the Cypriol and all the Guardian balsam gives off this Middle Eastern vibe. It gives off this DNA of the Middle East. Fine, it's Majestic oud. I understand what they're going for there, but when they're highlighting an ingredient, they failed miserably at that. Okay. Failed miserably at highlighting that ingredient, because this does not highlight oud in any world where oud is what oud smells like, and oud can smell like a lot of things. That's the problem. Russian Adam even said on his stream, oud can smell like anything. It can smell of anything that you can think of, which makes it very tough. But most of the ouds that you're gonna get are either barnyard ouds, as they're called, or they smell a little bit like fertilizer. They smell a little bit of like the back end of a bull. They have these animalic, woody, dirty facets to it, fecal facets to it. But I've even smelled some oud that smells like iris, that smells like beautiful iris. I mean, so you don't know what's going on in the trees, and it depends on whether it's wild oud, plantation oud, how it's distilled. There's so many factors, right? But in all of those factors, when you smell real oud, go watch my early impression of Xerjoff Gao. I said I think there's real oud in this, hands down, for sure. Now, I don't think they took the time to distill it properly. I think they pushed the oil out as fast as they could to maximize profit and move on. Whereas Russian Adam might take a month or two to distill his oud, Xerjoff probably pushed it out in 3 days, and that's it, gone. Move on to the next one. Goodbye. We don't have to do 3 months. What are you talking about? 2 days, boom, get the oil out. It smelled burnt, it smelled rubbery, it smelled mustardy, right? This doesn't smell like any real oud I've smelled. None. And if there is real oud in here, it's very minimally used, and it is hidden under all of these notes. And that's not Majestic oud. That's barely any hidden oud, right? So that's the biggest problem with this fragrance. So if you take that and put it to one side, okay, take that issue of naming and the story Roja tells. He's a great storyteller, by the way. He plays the role of, posh grandfather who's been in the fragrance industry for 89 million years, wearing his $8,000 Louboutin slippers, and he plays that role to a T, and he tells his story so beautifully that you're just like, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, sure, yeah, I'll pay $8,000 for a bottle. Great, it's worth it. But when you actually smell this particular version, Majestic oud, there's a disconnect. It doesn't, you're going to go, wait a minute, what is this? This is oud? No, the only people who would think this is oud are the people who are ignorant of what oud smells like, right? So there's this disconnect. So they were very smart to discontinue this. I think they realized the error, because this is a glaring weakness for the brand. This is the kind of fragrance where you would smell it, and let's say you were a fanboy. Let's say you bought bottles of Roja, like I did. Look, these are my bottles. I paid for all of these, even this one. Even the crazy $3,000 a bottle shit, right? All my money. All mine. He didn't send me any like some reviewers, okay? Because I don't necessarily play ball. I don't say nothing but great things. I don't say this is the best thing I've ever smelled. Wow, it's the best oud fragrance of all time. I don't say that, right? So I don't give free bottles. But it's the most glaring weakness of the brand, because if you're buying all this stuff and you believe it, let's say you've never smelled Heritage, right? Let's say you don't know Guerlain's history. You buy Danger and you're like, wow, this is the best DNA I've ever seen. I love Oligarch, even though it smells a little bit like Terre de Hermes. I love Great Britain, even though it smells like Cuir de Russie. Maybe you don't know it smells like Cuir de Russie. Maybe you don't know it smells a bit like Terre de Hermes. Maybe you don't know it smells a bit like Heritage. And on and on. Maybe you don't know Diaghilev smells a bit like Mitsuko mixed with Rocha's Femme. Maybe you don't know that, right? You're just a fanboy. You're going through. But you've smelled a little bit of Oud. You smelled some Ajmal. Maybe you smelled some companies that actually do use real Oud. And then you get to Majestic Oud Parfum and you go, wait a minute. I think I'm being sold a bill of goods here. What would you do? Would you question all of these other purchases that you've made? I think you would. I think you would go, wait a minute, if they're tricking me on Majestic Oud Parfum, am I being tricked elsewhere? Is it really worth the money? You might begin to question things, and that's not good. So they pulled it. It's discontinued after just a couple years, and good move on their part. I think that was a smart business decision. Focus on something else. Sell Apex or, whatever the hell they're selling now. Semi-bespoke number 8,248 for $2,200. That being said, okay, my cynicism and sarcasm aside, I do like this fragrance. I wear it and I enjoy it. But I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a scent that is basically this resinous, florally, again, blended with the honey. Imagine you took that honey, labdanum, and you blend it together to create this amazing tornadic activity of like florals and resins and saffron and cypriol and all that good stuff. And it's just, the rosemary makes it very masculine, by the way, at the top. That's if you look at the percentage of owners on Parfumo, it's 94% men, 6% women. And I totally see why. Because most women won't want to smell like a Middle Eastern masculine fragrance with old school masculine touches like rosemary. Rosemary reminds me of stuff like Paco Rabanne pour Homme or Basile Uomo or stuff like that, those rosemary heavy fragrances. And this is ultra masculine if you believe in in that spectrum of masculine, feminine, whatever you want to call it. And so let's talk about some of the notes in common with his other perfumes, because I mentioned that this smells very similar to his other fragrances. So I mentioned Roja Hautlux, which I think smells the most similar as far as DNA. Like, forget about just inside of the brand. Anything I've ever smelled, Roja's Hautlux smells the most similar to Majestic Oud Parfum by far. It's the one that shares the closest DNA to me. I think this was probably the chassis that they built Majestic Oud Parfum on. And so here's the notes that are in common, by the way, between the two fragrances. There's 8 notes in common. Bergamot, May Rose, Jasmine from Grass, Patchouli, Cedarwood, Ambergris, Labdanum, and Civet, okay? Now, just as a side note, Parfums de la Nuit number 3, which is one of my favorite Rojas, the Parfums de la Nuit line in general shares lots of notes in common. Number 1 shares 8 notes in common with Majestic Oud. Number 3, 11. 11 notes in common. Bergamot, May Rose, Ambergris, Amyris, Cedarwood, Cypriol, Gaiac Wood, Guardian Blossom, Labdanum, Patchouli, and Saffron. Okay? And again, not to beat a dead horse, but there was a first impression that I did for one of his fragrances called Aoud the Exclusive Parfum. Aoud the Exclusive Parfum is also discontinued, by the way, and it smells very similar to the Moon, but it came out a couple years before the Moon, so I had to give Roja his credit where credit is due. I gave him his flowers for that. He came up with something original there, for once. And Aoud the Exclusive Parfum shares 11 notes in common with Majestic Aoud. Bergamot, Jasmine from Grass, May Rose, Saffron, Cypriol, Patchouli, Cedarwood, Amyris, Oud, Labdanum, Ambergris, and it would have been 12 if it was black pepper instead of pink pepper. but you know, that pepperiness in Eau the Exclusive Parfum. So you're getting the idea. Look at the notes that are the same over and over and over and over. And in fact, I pulled up Sultan of Oman, which is one of my favorite frankincense fragrances. It shares 8 notes in common with Majestic Oud, and they're all the same. It's the same over and over and over. Saffron, patchouli, May Rose, Jasmine from Grass, Bergamot. It's like they just take the chassis and they tweak it a little bit here. They add osmanthus in Majestic Oud instead of ylang ylang in Roja Houtlux. They add, you know, a little bit of frankincense in Sultan of Oman instead of a little bit of ambrette. They add oud here instead of a little bit of guardian balsam, and on and on and on. But it's just slight tweaks, and bam, it's a new fragrance, $800 or whatever they're doing. And I like them. That's the thing. I like their fragrances. I enjoy them. But I don't like being a mark. I don't like being a sucker either. You know what I mean? Like, I have a limit to my being conned before I finally kind of stand up for myself. And, you know, some of that stuff just kind of gets to me. It's that, it's that heart of what makes Roja. And some might say, oh, well, that's his, you know, his DNA of the house. That's his signature. But, they start smelling very similar. Like when you smell one Roja to another that's in this line or whatever, in this line of creations, they really do start to smell very similar with small tweaks. And so if you smelled other Rojas, Majestic Oud Parfum would probably smell very familiar to you, okay? It'll probably smell very familiar to you. I was expecting a huge oud. I was expecting like, you know, Oud Maximus from Bortnikov or something. No. This is designer level oud. You know, if you like wearing the embellished ouds, I would call it embellished oud. That's the best way to put it. It's not oud, it's an oud accord, right? That kind of thing. Then you might like this. The problem now is this is discontinued. And because it's discontinued, it's going for insane money. Not as if it wasn't already insane. If you can get your nose on this, if you're interested to see how close my review is, try to get yourself a decant like this. Try to smell it. Try to, you know, see if what I'm saying about the florals making up the majority of the scent, about the dry down, the base being very similar to other Roja scents. I still like it. That's the thing. I like it. I wear it. I enjoy it. I feel like I'm wearing something posh. You know, look, I'm wearing a t-shirt today. It's Friday at work. And I'm wearing a, whatever this retailed for, $2,000 or something. I didn't pay that. I got decants, but still. You know, I'm wearing this posh, expensive. You don't have to wear it to an opera. You can wear it anywhere. I mean, it's, for me, I wear whatever I want when I want. But the thing about it is, if you're all geared up to get, you know, Oud Picante from Russian Atom or Riz Ladore, or if you're all geared up to get, you know, Ottoman Empire or something, some animalic, real oud fragrance, Oud Monarch by Bortnikov, you're going to be let down. It's just, you're going to be let down. It's not what it is. Is it worth $2,000? Hell no. Is it worth $1,000? Hell no. You know, it's you know, it's a regular, it's a normal Roja fragrance in a purple cap is what it is, and they're selling it for huge amounts of money. Now, I'm glad they noticed the error of their ways and discontinued this one. But, you know, it's nothing that moves me. You know, I would personally much rather wear Frederic Maule's The Night. Or absolutely, I would much rather wear The Night. If you're going to spend this kind of money, at least get The Night. I mean, The Night at least has real oud in it, for sure. It smells like it has real oud. Frederic Maule at least says they use real oud. I've never heard Roja say they use real oud. I've heard them say they use real ambergris, but I've never heard them say they use real oud. Maybe they do, right? If they do, then if they say it, it's true. But if you're going to spend that kind of money, buy The Night. If you're going to spend this kind of money, buy the Moon. Buy Promise. You know, Promise is a stunner of a fragrance. The Moon is a stunner. I think Promise the Moon and or even by Spirit of Dubai's Oud. Their Oud, their $1,000 Oud, smells like real oud. It smells like there's real oud in that fragrance. If you don't want to buy an Arise Ledoy or a Bortnikov or something like that, which is what you should do. Those are the best value for money. If you want to smell real oud, go get Oud Maximus by Bortnikov, or go get something, if you can find a Russian Atom perfume, if you can find like Ottoman Empire, Oud Zen, Russian Oud, you know, those kind of fragrances, then I would recommend checking those out. Those are probably your best bang for the buck, real oud fragrances. But this stuff to me is, it's misrepresented, it's mislabeled, it's missold, it's overpriced, the story doesn't match, all that stuff, everything I've said. And I don't hear anyone talk about it, and I completely understand why. At first, I thought I found a hidden gem. Like, before I smelled this, when I bought my first decant, I was like, oh man, Majestic Oud by Roja? Oh my God, this is going to be like mind-blowing oud. And I was like, what is this? And at first I was very pissed, actually. And that's why I didn't want to do a video right away. I wanted to wait. I wanted to wear it and wear it and wear it. And I wore it a lot, actually, because I was gearing up to do this review. And so, fragrance-wise, if you blindfolded someone and put this in front of me, I would say, yeah, I like it. It's good. But it's not Majestic Oud, okay? So that's the moral of the story. And the other moral of the story is to beware of marketing. You know, I honestly feel like marketing can influence what you smell, okay? So if you spend $2,000 on this fragrance at a Roja boutique, and the lady who is behind the counter is dressed to the nines, and she's the most beautiful woman you've seen all day, and she's telling you how amazing you smell, and you buy into the hype, and you buy it, and you spend $2,000, how could you then tell yourself it's a bad perfume, right? You've already bought into the hype. You've bought into the marketing. You've bought into the gold flakes in the bottle, or the gold cap, or the, you know, bedazzled cap with the diamonds all over it, and the silk, you know, the silk bed coffin that the bottle has to sit in, because Roja bottles can only sit in the finest of silk. You know, you've already bought into that. So it's very hard for you to then come around and go, wait a minute, this might not be what I think it is, right? If you smell something blind, make up your own opinions, then you maybe look what's in there, you know, and you can make up your own mind without being influenced by the marketing. The marketing on some of these brands is brilliant. I mean, they'll get you. The marketing will get you. And some of the prices of perfume nowadays are just outrageous. I mean, it feels like people aren't going to be able to afford perfume soon. But I wanted to do this video, one, because no one talks about this fragrance, and two, because it's been bothering me, you know? It's been one that's been on my chest. Like, I feel like I have to put it out there. And I think I pretty much expressed what I feel about it. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have experience with Majestic Oud Parfum, do please let me know what your thoughts are with it. If I'm on point, if I'm completely off base, if you love this fragrance, if you hate it, if you like it like I do, but now that you had to kind of come to terms with what it truly is versus what the name is versus what the marketing tells you it should be, let me know in the comments. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you to everyone who gives a like and a subscription. I know you guys don't have to do that. It does help, I think, with the algorithm. It helps the true fragrance lovers find me. And I get quite a lot of people now, you know, message me and say, wow, I'm so glad I found your channel. And every now and then I'll get some, you know, some weirdo who you can tell only watches Jeremy Fragrance, and he's so offended. How could you say anything bad about Roja? How could you say anything bad? You know, those kind of people are now starting to find my channel too, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I do this completely on my own volition, totally open-eyed and aware that not everyone is as into fragrances as we are. Not everyone goes as deep. Not everyone breaks a fragrance down as an art form. Some people wear it to try to attract the opposite sex. Some people wear it to try to attract positive attention, compliments, that kind of stuff. We're past that as far as most of my viewers go, but I do get some viewers occasionally who are not on that level, and they either will tweak their thinking and come along with us and viewing it as a true art form, or they'll probably just go find a channel that matches their viewpoint on it. I got 22 compliments in one day, that kind of thing. I don't care about that. That doesn't that doesn't move me. I've never got 22 compliments in a day, by the way. Very hard to get a compliment. I feel, especially when you're wearing some of the crazy stuff that isn't the mass appealing. It's much easier to get a compliment when you're wearing something that people are used to smelling. It's much easier to get a compliment with Sauvage than with Chypre Palatine, for example. Even though this is a million out of a million times better than Sauvage, it's very hard for someone to come up to you and say, wow, you smell amazing with Chypre Palatine, because there's all these moving parts to it. It's so much going on that a lot of times people just smell it and they're confused. At first they're like deer in a headlights. It's like, what is this that I'm smelling? You ever smelled something and you hated it the first time, and then you went back to it and you hated it a little bit less, and then by wear 3, 4, or 5, you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever smelled? It just takes people some time, and I think as a collective, humans as a collective start getting used to certain smells. If you wore Antaeus in the 80s, it was much less offensive to people in the 80s because they smelled it everywhere. They smelled Koros everywhere. They had a much bigger tolerance for animalics back then. Now you wore Koros or Antaeus somewhere, and, people might look at you like you've got 2 heads on. And so I feel like as a collective, just people aren't as used to challenging smells anymore. And, that's part of the whole compliment game. But don't wear these fragrances for compliments. If you wear them for compliments, you're probably wearing, anyone can wear fragrance for whatever reason they want. But to me, it's an art form. I enjoy breaking it down. I enjoy wearing it. I enjoy the way it makes me feel. I enjoy, I enjoy smelling it throughout the day and how it evolves and trying to understand the fragrance itself and that kind of stuff. Anyways, we've gone off on all kind of tangents today. We did the unboxing. Thank you to Miasto Kelso, and check out his eBay shop. We did the samples that he sent me very kindly, so I'll do some first impressions on some of these that I've never smelled before in my life. And we did the early impression of Majestic Aoud. So let me know what your thoughts are. I hope to see your faces in the comments. And cheers, everyone. And I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye, guys.